Hey, Popfly Universe, Baseball Universe, Johnny Bench, and Reds fans. Hello. We are here with Daniel Jacob Horine, artist and owner of Popfly Pop Shop. Say hello, Daniel.
Hello, folks.
And we are here with Hall of Famer, Rookie of the Year, 2-time MVP, 14-time All-Star,
Go for it, boy.
Golden
Go ahead.
Glove.
Just pump this thing up. Keep going.
Yes. 10-time Gold Glove winner at the hardest position in baseball. Don't forget World Series MVP, Johnny freaking Bench. Now, Johnny Bench, you got voted 96%. What more? Who did not vote for you first round? Have you tracked these people down?
Some schmuck. No. It's like, how do you not vote for Tom Seaver and unanimous and all this stuff? But there was a thing at the time where the old-time voters never wanted anybody to have 100% because Babe Ruth didn't get 100%. I guess that's the way it was. But obviously it's I won't say what they are, but they decided not to do it. Yeah, well, I guess you get in, and it's all wonderful and everything else, but it's a special honor, obviously. It's one of the great honors in my life, as is coming up the new Popfly.
Oh, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a Johnny Bench fan and you have no idea what Popfly is. Popfly is a comic book style cover that Daniel creates about one a week. They are retired forever, though, so you need to get this by this Sunday, or it is retired forever, unless you want to pay exorbitant secondhand prices off of eBay. And with Johnny Bench, there is an autograph inscription on there, an autograph. So, Daniel, can you show the cover for this week?
You got it.
This is the General, Johnny Bench himself, ready to go to war and ready to shoot that cannon at maybe first. Maybe he's picking someone off second. Or
Right.
Johnny Bench, when you saw this, what was your reaction?
I just thought it was the best ever. Everything else, I wonder who the guy that thought about retiring this stuff. Hell, we don't retire. We just change jobs. But this is not. You can't retire me, man. This is going to live on forever. Except all those others are retired. Let's keep this going because I don't know how many you're going to produce, but I know we're going to sell them all. Plus.
I love it.
But you're not a capitalist, so it's okay.
Now, I love the comic book style that Daniel brings every week. As a kid, did you read any comics?
Oh yeah. I did. I wasn't a collector, but I read all the comics. Yeah, I loved it. Everybody loved the Superman back in there, and we just had a lot of different things, and I was out pulling cotton, buying clothes, and buying baseball gloves, so I really wasn't buying a lot of comic books. But oh yeah, I've always been a comic book fan.
Now, Daniel, when I knew you were doing Johnny Bench, I was desperately hoping it would be him catching. So I think you hit 389 home runs, but to me, you're first a catcher above a hitter. So, Daniel, what led you to that? And I'd love to hear your reaction to that, Johnny Bench.
For me, I love the nickname, and I kind of love what it stands for. I love the leadership qualities to it, and I think you're spot on. Like, just being such a great defender, I think that was the way to go with it, and especially with the common way to call a great arm. It's a cannon. So you're at home plate. You're called the little general. You've got a cannon behind you. It made itself. It
started really, Daniel, when I was just a rookie. I came up from Buffalo, and they always said they needed somebody to take charge up there and all the sort of stuff. But I'm, being on the field, everybody's supposed to be on time. They talk about what is a leader. A leader's being on time, doing their job every day. But I wanted everybody else to be on time. Let's go. What's the deal? You do this. You're supposed to follow by the rules. That's what the manager wants and everything else. So they nicknamed me the Little General because I was so, I was ordering people around and doing something. And it was something I was very proud of. I wasn't trying to do it, but okay, fine. This is what you want. This is what you need. We got to get into a winning tradition here in Cincinnati. That's what I always wanted to do. And so for you to choose the Little General is very special to me, Daniel. 3-name guy. I guess. Is that the way you go, 3-name guy?
Sure, I'll take it. and I love too when I was thinking about the piece. They say the greatest to be a great conductor, you have to turn your back on the audience, and you're the only position out there, that's facing your team. So it's a very interesting thought. you're behind the plate, but you're facing your team. You're leading your team from turning your back on the audience. I think that it's such a great way to think about it for me, and really inspired kind of the direction of this piece.
Yeah, when I was playing another position, I was just bored to tears. I mean, it was like 5 days at one position. If I played there, it was like 1 day of catching. That's how much you were really expending yourself and everything else. So I definitely know. I love seeing the entire field. I love the brilliance of being able to watch the shift, the motion, and everything else that went along with it, and to be able to control the pitcher. That was probably the most important thing. I always say there's 4 ways for it to have a great day. It was calling a game, which was the most important thing, is trying to get a win for that pitcher. Throwing out runners, blocking home plate, and then you got to hit. So it was always special. I always had a lot of good days because I could have it one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of your arm, I'm intrigued looking at some of your stats. Is your caught rate is huge, obviously, consistently in that 50% mark. But I'm surprised how many guys you threw out, because normally, like, Ichiro's putouts dropped because people were smart enough to stop running on the guy. Like, it's amazing that your caught rate was so high. Why did they keep attempting on you?
Well, Evan, I mean, truthfully, and I spoke with the stat guys on that. I said, but when you think about it, you sometimes had 4 or 5 guys that would try to steal on a team, but only 2 would maybe attempt it on you. The other 3 didn't even try. So you ought to get percentages for that. And he said, we actually put that into the equation. And so the numbers were astronomical. So I was very proud of that. It was the fact that in 1972, I had lung surgery. So I lost a little bit of that zip and everything else. But I was so proud. I think when I was 18 or 19, I said I can throw out any man alive. So I believe that, and that's what you have to believe every time you walk on the field. You have to believe you're going to get a hit. You have to believe that they're never going to steal on you. And there were some great moments. I know I threw out Lou Brock 3 times in one game. He told me. He said, "You remember what I said when I came up the 4th time?" And I said, "Knowing you, Lou, you said if I get on, I'm going again." He said, "That's exactly what I said."
Did he get on, or he didn't get on?
He didn't get on, but there were some great challenges out there. Some of these guys, Davey Lopes was phenomenal. They used to have those rabbits over in Pittsburgh and Houston, and they just were daring. They just took off. I don't think they ever had a steal sign. If they had any kind of jump, that they were gone. So, I know that Sparky one day answered a question when he was asked if Gary Nolan's pitching and Lou Brock's on first and he tries to steal, what do you tell Johnny? He said, throw it to short and head him off. Because some pitchers are a little bit slower than others. And so the rates always go down depending on who's pitching. And with Don Gullett, I don't remember a stolen base on Don Gullett and I. So we had a lot of fun doing that.
Let's talk about that, because we interviewed Vince Coleman a couple weeks back, a great stolen base guy, obviously. And he said he would steal the bases off the pitcher, not the catcher.
Absolutely. I stole 25 bases in a row over 3 years.
Wow.
So you're getting the jump, you're reading the pitcher. If he's slow enough, if you can get the jump and everything else. I certainly am not blistering speed, that's for sure. I mean, they timed me with a calendar, so it wasn't like anything. But it's always getting on the jump and doing that. And so I was proud of that I could steal a base. And so we always try to blame it on the pitcher, of course.
Well, I love to ask a mechanical just question about catching. So when you're throwing to second, do you do a four seam?
Yes.
because you don't want the ball to tail, right?
No, and that's I thought I had a baseball right here somewhere, but no, I would even from the time I was a kid. Here's one. So I would from the time I was a kid, every time I caught the ball and I transferred, I didn't care what it was, I was turning. So no matter what I did, so they brought the glove up and I was always transferring over and trying not to get that, because then you get the ball, depending on that. There were days like in San Francisco, we threw it towards short. The wind was blowing so hard and and would fade towards second base. So there was always allowance. But that's what I did forever. And that's what I tell these young catchers. First of all, you want to be a catcher, catch every ball. You learn to catch everything. People say, what a great catcher. Nothing gets by him. And it's the same thing in life. But I transferred. Every time I played catch, every time I tried to catch, I was trying to get the transfer and across the seams. And then, of course, it's the footwork and being in position to throw it, and then being blessed with a great arm. You know, that's just a lot of times genetics. These guys today are amazing. They are trained. They're wonderful to watch. People sometimes say, you know, what happened to all the catchers? And I said, they're there. I said, when you think about the fact that, you know, only 15, 16 catchers are in the Hall of Fame, that's one every decade. And so unless you lead the league in home runs or RBIs or average and do all that stuff over a long period of time, and you catch 100 games every year, then you're going to get noticed. Then you're going to have recognition. And that's the one thing that you're going to have to understand is that there are some phenomenal catchers out there right now. So it's not like we didn't have them. I mean, you know, back in my era with Randy Hundley and Jerry Grody and, you know, Steve Yeager. Well, every catcher, every team I thought had great catchers. You know, Manny Sanguillen was one of my favorites as well. It was just, you know, guys that paid the price. They were out there every day. Well, that's why, you know, it's like an old horse and a soldier. Soldier with his old horse, you just ride until he drops.
Salvador Perez, he's a guy on my list. Yeah. Fabulous. I mean, it really is. You know, and then you get the guys that you don't notice as much. You get, you know, Trevino, you get Will Smith. I mean, guys that do the transfer. You get a guy like Maldonado. You get guys that don't hit. I mean, it just proves that if you can catch, you have longevity, and somebody can offset that because, you know, not having an offensive catcher, then you're going to have rely on the rest of your lineup. And then in that case, the Astros picked it up. But he calls a great game. Molino was just a real general himself. A lot of guys that I watch and still, you know, you go up and down the list, every team, and they're doing a lot more platooning now. So guys have a little more rest. I don't know this day game after a night game stuff. I caught 154 out of 158 games. So and played third base on your day off.
I did. Yeah. It was like I asked Sparky, am I ever going to get a day off? And he said, he had that little crooked finger he would do it. And he said, well, if we're behind, I'm going to catch you to catch up. If we're tied, I'm going to catch you to get ahead. If we're ahead, I'm going to stay ahead. Any days off, I said, not a chance.
Well, you were a soldier, and speaking of soldier, let's show that print again.
Please.
This is only available until this Sunday. Go to popflypopshot.com. There is an autograph option where you can have the Hall of Famer himself autograph and inscribe this cover. But Daniel, this is actually not the first time Johnny Bench has been on a Pop Fly.
It is true. It is true.
Are you aware of this, Johnny Bench?
I am, yes.
Okay, Daniel, share the actual origin first appearance of Johnny Bench.
That was it.
There it is.
Yeah, it was very special. That was the Big Red Machine. And because it is out of production, Johnny doesn't have one.
Oh, come on.
Daniel,
you got to do something.
Come on, Daniel.
We'll fix that. We'll fix that.
You're the best. But it's an amazing thing. And of course, I you know, for you to be able to be creative enough to do all this and everything else is just an amazing talent. So I'm really amazed I'm always amazed at somebody that has the skills to do these sort of things and everything else. But more power to what you've done. How many covers have you done?
You're the 121st.
Wow. I thought they didn't. I think Evan, you said one every week.
Go ahead.
I didn't think it was that often.
Yeah, we do it every single week. I do this. We've been doing it for almost 3 years now. We've got 8 of these prints are hanging in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So it's been a prolific and fun journey.
Well, you deserve it. I mean, you really are. So, what kind of name is Irene? It's not. I'd wish you happy St. Patrick's Day, but I don't think that's it.
No, it's a German last name.
German last name. Oh, cool. 3-name guy.
Yep.
Well, man, if you look on any sort of ranking list, like who's the greatest center fielder of all time, there's lots of debates. Mantle, Griffey, Trout, Mays, you know, shortstop, Cal Ripken, Ernie Banks. There's no argument for catcher. It's the most boring articles ever because it's clearly as Johnny Bench.
Oh, thank you. I hope to make Peyton Manning's show.
Is there anything else you want to bring up from the cover that you would like Johnny Bench to interact with?
No, actually, a fun little tie-in that I like to put in there just to sneak into the longtime collectors of these. If you notice the face of the Big Red Machine, the assemblage of all these 8 players, it is the same head that's on that chest plate right there. So reference.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. So the 34th print, the Big Red Machine, is being referenced here in the 121st print. So a little bit of fun there.
So fill me in. I haven't been able to look at it. I got a small copy of this from Bobby,
Mhm.
but on the emblem on the face on the plate,
Mhm.
on the chest plate, what does it say? Anything?
It doesn't say anything, but it does. It's decorative, and it's got this guy's face on it. And you had 14 All-Star appearances, and there's 14 stars decorating that sash there across your chest there with the golden number 5.
Oh, look at you. And man, all the details and everything else. And you could have done the dollar bill, because everything's done in 13s for the dollar bill. Yeah, this is it. I love the shin guards, though. I got to tell you, and the way I'm holding the mask is just perfect. It's just a great thing. I'm very proud to be a part of this.
Thank you.
Does that going to war metaphor? Does that ring true to a catcher?
Well, it's a war every day. I mean, it's a battle every day to go out there and squat. We figured we squatted 450,000 times. We threw 850,000 throws. It was a challenge when you go out there. You're playing, hurt. You got foul balls. You got,
Yeah.
I broke 6 bones in each foot from foul balls, and I missed 2 days out of that total. I just tightened my shoe up. I wore a size 12 shoe, but I wore a 10.5 spike, so it would feel like a real tightness around it. So I guess I was kind of like at one time it was the Baryshnikov of catchers. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I loved that. That was Look Magazine or Life Magazine that was kind of fun. There's been some great things in my life, and this is a real feather in my hat to really have Daniel and put me up and make me famous.
You're one of the few on 2 issues for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Johnny Bench, any last words you want to share with your fans?
No, well, they've been great. I mean, it's just been, I don't make any more outs. I don't pop up. I don't strike out, and so people love you now. I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's, I think I always had a quote, the crowd on earth, they soon forget the hero of the past.
Mm.
They cheer like mad until you fall, and that's how long you last.
Mm.
But with things like this, they bring it back and they bring it on, and it keeps in the memory. And, I love seeing young kids that know who I am. They want to be catchers, but there's still those fans out there. And then I love to I was spoken at an event the other night at the Chesapeake Club up in Norfolk, Virginia, and to be with the older people, and they can name the lineup of the Big Red Machine. They were Cub fans, they were Philly fans, they were Oriole fans, but they really respected the way we played. So when that Big Red Machine cover, that's really special, because I mean, the Great 8 was the Great 8, and it was sort of takes everybody back into the past and back into their memories. And it also, the last time you really kind of assembled a team without dollars. And it's always special to be remembered. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being available. Thanks for taking the time to sign these issues, those people who are smart enough to take advantage of that opportunity. Daniel, thanks for putting this together and bringing Johnny Bench to the forefront of our minds as baseball is coming back in about 13 days till opening day. So excited. Johnny Bench, thank you so much.
All right, give that website again. Come on. We got
PopFlyPopShop.com, baby.
Yep.
Available now, only until March 26th. Only on PopFlyShop.com.
Oh, what a man.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bench, thank you. Take care.
All right.
Man, he it's like I was talking to like a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Like just hanging out with him at a barbershop or a bar, just like talking baseball.
I absolutely wish we could have kept going longer.
Man, I want to go back to something he said, because any kids who want to be a catcher, what he just said is ingenious. So a drill, if you're catching, the challenge, one of the many challenges of catching is you're catching it here with your glove, and then you're throwing to second. But how do you get that grip? That is like one of the hardest parts. So if you're a catcher and you're throwing and it's tailing to left field, to right field, you're not getting that grip. So a drill you can do all day, to the Hall of Famer Johnny Bench, is just practice
Mhm.
Practice all day, just taking the ball out of your glove and getting that 4-seam grip.
Mhm.
It's not going to hurt your arm. Man, that's genius.
Yeah, totally. It's the piece. I never would have thought of that. I never would have thought of that transition being, key to the success of the position.
Yeah, it's just the thought, that perfect throw,
Mm-hmm.
that terrible throw.
Mm-hmm.
How important, and it blows my mind. How does somebody get it that right every single time with a half a second to spare?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Now it probably came out. I'm a sucker for good catchers. Maybe I've umpired a lot of high school games, and there's just something about a good catcher
Mhm.
that I don't care what they hit on my team. I don't care what
Mhm.
my catcher hits. I want a catcher who receives well, blocks the plate, as he said, can throw out runners, can manage the game.
Mhm.
I'm fearful of when the robo umps might come.
Mhm.
What is that going to do to the catching position?
Mm. That's a good thought. Well, as far as I know, at least that's what I've heard so far, is that they'll still have umpires at the plate to at least relay what the robo ump has said in their ear page.
It said ball. That's
So-
the job of the umpire. The machine told me strike.
So I don't know what that dynamic does. I truly don't know. I'm curious. I know there's still something there, but I'm not sure what it's going to become.
Yeah, and this is on your forefront because you did a pop fly of
Oh yeah.
the robots are coming, right?
Yeah, right before Johnny Bench, that was the release. Right before Johnny Bench was the Robo Ump. So I'm curious, maybe that's the next pop fly, Robo Ump versus the Little General in the classic pulp comic horror style. Who knows?
Man, you get the two sides, right? It's, do you want the right call?
Mm-hmm.
But I still say there is a skill set for a catcher to make you call what they want you to call.
Mm-hmm.
Like the pitch is a ball, but if the catcher can receive it to make it look like a strike, I think that's good for baseball. I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, it's a skill set. It's an absolute skill set. All these nuances, seriously, as a 10-year-old watching baseball is such a different experience as a 40-something-year-old watching baseball. All these nuances, the skills that are at play. I was just focused on guys who could throw hard, guys who could hit hard, but having the ability to kind of frame your catches is just it's just lost on me as a kid. But now as an adult, it's fascinating, and I totally am in agreement with you on that.
Plus, umpire coach arguments are really fun.
I totally agree, and I did the piece on robo umps, and it was me interpreting it as a fearful thing, and I'm kind of on the fence because I am in agreement that the game should change and evolve. That's a sign of a game that's alive.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of that. The particular way it changes, it's challenging. It's challenging because I want it to evolve. I might not necessarily agree with how it evolves every time, but I'm a fan of it evolving. What I don't like is sponsors logos on the jerseys. That I am in full disagreement with. But anyway.
Well, yeah, the Bally's network is going bankrupt right now. And so, like, literally the season starts in 2 weeks, and we don't know how half the games are going to be on TV, if they are or not. And so I think with people not having cable subscriptions, MLB needs to find out how do we generate revenues to provide games for people to watch. And it's crazy. It's in 2 weeks, and we don't know how it's going to be on TV.
Yeah, they'll find a way. I guarantee it.
Was that a Jurassic Park reference there?
Life finds a way.
Baseball finds a way.
Yes.
Well, you need to find a way to go to popflypopshop.com. You see that segue there? And get this Johnny Bench cover by this Sunday. Maybe you were late to Johnny Bench and you see their big red machine and you're like, what? I want it. Well, sorry, it's not for sale anymore, but this one is. So go to popflypopshop.com. There is an autograph inscription available from Johnny Bench, so use that drop-down menu. Another thing Johnny Bench brought up, and actually you started the conversation of the catcher's really the captain of the team. And it seemed like there was a trend for a while where teams were hiring former catchers to be managers. Mike Scioscia was kind of part of that. And it was sort of this, the catcher is managing as a player. And so when it's time, when their post career is done, they're going to be really great managers because that's what they've already been doing. And all of a sudden it seemed like it shifted into more of a, we want statistic guys, guys who are really centered on sabermetrics and stuff. And which way does your heart lean? Do you want the Stanford stat, this guy's going to hit it over here, so let's shift over this way? Or do you want like the in-game catcher manager?
I would, off the cuff, I would probably be a fan of the in-game catcher manager because it feels like there's a place for both. If you have a guy who is intuitive, he has the ability to rely on the stats if he needs to, but also leaves room for the intuition. Whereas you have a guy who's well versed in stats and less versed in that, leaning on the intuition. You've got one leg knocked off of your three-legged stool there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting going forward how these changes that nobody knows how it's going to fully impact the game. The more data that we're getting, and how does baseball evolve? As you said, how do managers evolve? How do teams evolve? We could get to the point where you don't actually have a manager. You have what you were almost describing as an umpire, where there's just a body with a hat on.
Yeah.
People from the booth are telling them what to do. And there's been some insinuations of some different teams, Dodgers, that's what the manager is doing, that they don't get to decide when do I pull the pitcher. They're being dictated from other people.
Yeah, that's true. And I could see this too, changing the game too, because there's I forget the scientific name of it, but there's a scientific phenomenon where the object that you're observing changes by simply the fact that you're observing it. And so we have the new era of statistics and metrics and whatnot, but then everyone is reacting to this the same data set, and so that might have worked for a window of time, but I could really easily see that becoming a moving target because they are all kind of collectively reacting to this set of data that's available to everybody. So it could be something that's good for now that might end up shooting the managers in the foot later on if they rely heavily on that.
Yeah, I remember that movie Minority Report. It was like, we're going to arrest people for crimes that we know they're going to commit.
Yeah.
It's like, this pitcher's killing it through 5. My computer says in the 6th he's going to get blown up because it's his 3rd time through the lineup. And maybe the manager's like, but it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. And it's 100%. I think that's why I'm a fan of real umpires. That's the skill set thing that you mentioned before, the catchers. Yeah, but just that organic nature of the game and the human element, like the ballparks, for crying out loud, are like different dimensions and different shapes, and the imperfection is built into the beauty of the game, and I think that it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback about this stuff, but I love that stuff, and I think that will be the skill set that will set the team of the future up, is to have that intuition, to be able to say, but he hasn't done it yet, and listen to that.
Except for Angel Hernandez. That's a human error that we could all do away with. I love what you said about baseball stadiums, though. Like basketball stadiums, they're all the same, right?
Every other sport. Can you think of another sport that has different dimensions in different places that you play?
Yeah, like, on our home court, the basket's 7 feet,
That's literally the equivalent. And and even more so, the basket over here is 7 feet, but the one over there is 12 and a half, and it's a parallelogram court here.
Our hockey net is this wide.
It's wild. It's weird, and I love it. Baseball is the weirdest sport, and the weirdest things happen in baseball, and I love it to pieces for that.
Oh, and I am ready to go. By the way, Dodger fans, you should be really excited about something Johnny Bench said. We're talking about greatest catchers. He said Yadier Molina, who's on the fast track to the Hall of Fame. Salvador Perez, who I just love the guy. He threw Will Smith in there. So Dodger fans, that has to pump you up. He just said your guy is he's one of the men. He's the guy out there. So super good props. Anything else, Daniel, you want to share about Popfly in the next coming weeks?
Just the Johnny Bench is release number 1 of season 7. Season 7. What started on a whim and on a Friday afternoon in a bedroom is now 121 releases later. It's amazing what this has become. Really, really, really looking forward to season 7. We've got a lot of great collaborations in the works, and I love to keep exploring the things like the robo-umps and the pieces like the code breaker and those conceptual pieces as well. So I'm particularly excited about season 7.
Any other hints on players or teams that are coming up?
Well, I don't want to make any predictions. I think we got some serious firepower and some big names in this season. So it's I would say, anything can happen, but it's a particularly star-studded season ahead.
Okay, he said fire. So all of you smart people out there, start decoding what you think he meant by that. I expect a full report on Facebook this week. Daniel, thank you for organizing this and getting Johnny Bench front and center where he belongs. Let's show that print one more time. Popflypopshop.com. Get your Johnny Bench cover. Get it signed. See you real soon, Popfly.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
That was really good. I had not seen those. I'm going to go in the other room because I got a little bit easier to manage here. I was just getting the boys off. No, unbelievable.
Thank you.
I saw these before, and I kept saying, Bobby, I said, what the heck am I not on this stuff?
Then
I get the best one of all.